All right. We are launching the Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope a little early just to let people, we do want to start right at noon and be respectful of your time. So if you are watching this on the replay, we're so glad you tuned in and joined us. We've got a great lunch and learn with two professionals from Dale Carnegie Training, Ryan Akins and Jeff Cockrell. I'm John Piper. And we'll be on here live in about 4 minutes, but to give you guys a chance to share the information, make sure you post in comments, questions. We'll try to have a little Q&A at the very end. If not, we'll answer them throughout indefinitely on social media as well and get back to you. So, all right. And we do want to thank JP Jones, and I'm going to do something for her. She is working remotely like most of us out of Middle Tennessee, and she helped us put together some things. So I'm going to recognize JP Jones right now, and she's a big fan of Dale Carnegie Training as well. So here's to you, JP.
Is your website stuck in the last decade, in need of an upgrade? Are you missing out on potential customers because your site isn't mobile and device compatible? If any of these questions, then locally owned and operated Calypsis Web Solutions has your answer. With website plans to fit every budget, the ability to manage your site's content yourself, and robust plans that include fully functional e-commerce solutions, you'll love working with a company that's large enough to handle your business, but small enough to know your name. Contact Calypsis Web Solutions online at Calypsis, COLLIPSIS.com. Mention you heard this ad and your first month's hosting is free.
JP also does Page One Media, which does a lot of graphic work, and I've worked with her for several years now, and just a great ambassador to small business. And she was going to join us, but like many people, her internet bandwidth is very limited now with everybody working from home. So again, we're so glad you joined us. You can share this out on your social media as well. We are going to get started here in just a few minutes, about 3 minutes. If you need to grab a cup of coffee, or you might be eating at your desk if you're working at home. I know we got probably several essential workers that'll be joining us from their work. Most people will be at home. So again, thank you so much for joining us today on this Lunch and Learn. And I'll be joined by Jeff Cockrell and Ryan Akins here shortly. Make sure you post in comments any questions you have. We'll try to get to those on really how to adjust to the new normal and what is the new normal. That's we're trying to figure that out ourselves. So we look forward to this 45 minutes or so together with you. And with that, I'll go ahead and bring you guys up. We can have a little crosstalk here before we get started. How you guys doing? You can unmute yourselves.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Good, Ryan. You're hunkered down there in North Texas, I believe, a little north of downtown Dallas. Is that right?
No, I'm just a little bit. I'm in Oak Lawn.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a great location. Have you been getting out? A lot of the health guys and girls, ladies, doctors say it's good to get out and get some exercise, to really help deal with the stress and worry that we're faced with right now. You been able to get out much?
Yeah, we've been taking walks. I take jogs around the neighborhood sometimes, but staying away from Katy Trail. My fiance took a jog down there the other day, and it was packed with people. And so just staying on the neighborhood streets and side streets. But yeah, it definitely helps break up the day a little bit to get out and go for a run for sure.
Jeff, how about you? You've been able to get out, and I know you're an early riser, maybe doing any stretching or doing any work from home there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, that's been key for me is I make sure to walk at least 30 minutes a day. And the advice is walk like somebody's chasing you.
Yeah.
So I get out and have a brisk walk. I put on a set of headphones and then I'll either listen to a podcast or in my case, I'm trying to learn a foreign language. So I've got a language program, and each of the lessons is about 30 minutes. Works out pretty well.
What language are you?
People wonder what's going on because they can't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. What language are you working on?
Russian.
Really? Wow.
Я choose по-русски. So,
wow. Impressive.
Я немного знаю и немного понимаю по-русски.
Well,
so
Jeff,
I'm working on it. I understand a little bit. And
we just lost all the viewers. They stumbled on here and thought they were on How to Learn to Speak Russian podcast. We just lost everybody. But,
yeah, the funny thing is, John, we have no idea if what he said made sense.
That's right. That's true. In fact, neither do I.
Hey, I'm going to try to monitor some of the comments as we go. We're monitoring this from multiple sites here as well. And so we'll get started here shortly. All right. Yeah, man, I'm getting text already. People have heard about this through social media, and that's the power. That's how we all connect right now. If you use social media, it's so powerful when used in the right way. And that's some of the things we'll talk about, how to avoid maybe some of the distractions and the stuff going on behind me. And it's easy to get bogged down on your social media in a bad way, and really add to that stress, worry, and fear that's going on right there. So, well, guys, I show it to be right at noon, and you guys taught me to be respectful of everyone's time. We do want to get started. So, again, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be talking about 45 minutes or so. We might go a little over if you guys have time, but we've got Ryan Akins, Regional President, Dale Carnegie, North Texas. Man, I met Ryan several years ago. He was in the commercial real estate business for a number of years, and then had an opportunity to connect with Dale Carnegie training here in Dallas, Fort Worth. And has just really been instrumental in leadership development, training. He coaches clients as well. So welcome, Ryan Akins.
Hey, thanks so much, John, for having me on. It's great to be here.
And Jeff Cockrell, again, the reason I invited these two guys is I've seen firsthand their work. I've been a student in their programs and sat beside them in some courses as well. Jeff Cockrell brings a wealth of knowledge, 20 years with Dale Carnegie as a master trainer, in the top 1% of trainers worldwide. And there's probably more than 2,700 now, but I spent 11 years in the U.S. Navy as a naval officer, managed up to 1,900 people in the Navy, and also spent a number of years in corporate America. Works with, again, a who's who of clients here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and does a lot of things, like he said on the pre-show, learning to speak Russian. So welcome, Jeff Cockrell.
Thanks, John. It's a delight to be here. And it's funny, it's all about service. I mean, whether we're serving in the military or using our talents to serve others, much like you do. What you're doing here is a service for folks and helping them deal with the hysteria that's being pumped into our environment. So thank you.
Yeah, this came together, about 72 hours ago, something like that. And normally, I've actually got a bat here. Normally, we're up here talking sports, talking baseball this time of year, March Madness. I'm a huge basketball fan from Lexington, Kentucky. And in North Texas, football's big. We're talking spring football, but everything's been put on hold for the most part, other than essential service. So I said, hey, how can I leverage this technology to reach others? And I've been talking to a lot of people through text messaging, FaceTime, other Facebook groups. The technology's out there. Zoom meetings. I know everybody's using Zoom. And there's people out there that are struggling right now, that are worried, been furloughed, laid off, worried about the COVID-19, the coronavirus. And we just want to bring everybody together. And, while we're sheltering in home, I think is the term everybody's using. Some people are having to self-quarantine. You guys are both working remote. I know you've done a lot of Zoom meetings. What's it been like for both of you? And I guess we'll start with Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, luckily over the past few years, we've been moving to remote working for and gotten used to using tools like Zoom video to have meetings. I remember, it was 3 or 4 years ago, that we decided to have our Monday morning team meetings on Zoom video, because most of our team members are either trainers or they're in sales and they work from home, and we didn't want to make everyone drive in on Monday. And so luckily for us, it hasn't been that much of an adjustment from that standpoint. I can tell you from a financial standpoint, it's been disastrous, for our business, just as for a lot of other businesses. And so we're really being challenged, not necessarily to start working remotely, but to find creative ways to keep the business going now.
Yeah, man, great point. And, the unique perspective you bring here, we're normally talking about a unique perspective at a ballpark, but in business is you're also a business owner. You're running a business as well as helping business owners as well.
Yeah. And it's, I'm actually a member. So Dale Carnegie is a franchise organization. So I own the North Texas franchise territory exclusively. And so I'm in a group called Entrepreneurs Organization, and it's a kind of a networking group for owners of businesses that make over $1 million revenue a year, and it's a kind of a big support group. And the Dallas chapter has about 150 members. And I can tell you from my friends in EO, they're up against, a lot of people are up against the ropes right now. I mean, I have friends in the food industry that are really struggling right now, trying to find creative ways to survive. Everyone's waiting on pins and needles to get access to that federal funding, because initially, everyone's already laid a bunch of people off, as we know. The new job claims from last week came out this morning, and it's devastating the economy, and it's really challenging small, medium-sized businesses to find ways to survive.
Yeah, man, it's just the raw and the real of it. And Jeff, what are you seeing? I know you're still doing some remote training. You're recording some content. How's it been for you working remotely? As somewhat of a solopreneur, a master trainer for Dale Carnegie.
Well, it's kind of echoing what Ryan said. What Dale Carnegie is really known for is training in person, a lot of interaction and facilitating. The challenge is, how do we move online and continue to create a similar environment without actually being in front of that individual? And it's a similar skill set, but slightly different. And what we're finding is that obviously a lot of that training is moving online, and I think that migration had begun several years ago. Obviously, it's been accelerated. The challenge now is making sure we're able to maintain the quality online that we have in person. And as far as being a solopreneur, I kind of echo what Ryan is saying, is that everyone kind of feels like they're on the ropes now and wondering, okay, how do we move through this? And that's, I know for me personally, where a lot of Dale Carnegie's principles that I keep close to the heart here, Andy, have been helpful in helping me stay focused on moving forward. Because I think we can look at this time as two different ways. We can either look at it as, I just need to hunker down and wait for this storm to pass, or what I prefer to think of it is, all right, here's a chance to coil and get ready for the sprint. Because when this is over, we have, our year is going to be shorter. Well, we're going to have to get at it faster. I'm a big believer in the rebounding possibilities of the American economy. I do know it'll take longer for people to get well on this.
Well, I like that. Coil up like a tightly wound spring and be ready, to leap forward. Well, hey, this goes for both of you. Jeff, I don't know if you were part of the training, but I noticed you had to wrap up. Normally, a lot of the training you all deliver is in person, but you had to wrap up, I think, the last 2 sessions of a program just recently through Zoom virtually. So since other people are maybe struggling working from home, telecommuting, and doing business through Zoom, why don't you guys talk exactly how it worked for your business and how the students, the folks in the class, how they handled it as well.
I guess I'll
go ahead.
Why don't you start, Jeff, because you're the one that actually delivered the program that just wrapped up.
Actually, what's happened is that I had 2 programs that were one, it was in Dallas, and the other was in Tyler, that were set to graduate when we were first directed to shelter in place. So we thought, okay, well, we'll wait. We'll wait. It'll be a week or so, and this will be over. And obviously, that's not the case. But what we did for the first interim session was, I asked them to select a principle, any one of the 60 principles. And there are 30 principles for dealing with people, 30 principles for dealing with stress, and challenged each of the participants to apply them. And then we came back, and each person had a chance to report on that in a session. And everybody had to be on video. They had a chance to push themselves, and we're still interactive and still coaching. And everybody was good with that. It was really fun to watch. Then the second time was, I challenged them to be a role model, not just for themselves, but to be a role model for the people around them, to help them deal more with the stress. And so I had one group of youth who actually, Nitu Rishi put this together, and they're all high school and some middle school kids. So they were acting as role models in their family for the younger siblings, trying to be the example, that kid that their parents want. And so it was neat to hear them talk about how much they've really enjoyed getting to reconnect with their parents, getting to see their parents in a different light, building stronger relationships with their younger brothers and sisters. And then on Thursday, I'll have a chance to talk with the folks in Tyler. And then in a couple of weeks, we will graduate them. And what will happen is they'll have a chance to talk about their major breakthrough in the Dale Carnegie program. And it's interesting to have this kind of community that we created in person that is continuing virtually.
Yeah, wow. Very few organizations have been able to experience that like you guys have. And Ryan, anything you want to reinforce here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of especially the younger generations, a lot of people are already really comfortable with video chatting. And, especially I think the big catalyst for people getting comfortable with talking on video was FaceTime originally on the iPhone. And now there's little differences whether you're using WebEx or Zoom video or GoToMeeting. There's little nuances among the different programs, but most people are pretty comfortable getting online and getting on video now. And so we haven't seen a lot of resistance to that, honestly. In our business, it's, training is a business that people purchase when they need it. And so, what we're seeing is a lot of our in-person clients that are now moving to having remote employees that hadn't before. We have these really great leaders in those organizations that now they have great leadership skills. They need an additional level of skills to be effective when workers are remote, because they can't go over to people's desks and talk to them about what's going on, and they can't grab lunch with someone and catch up. And so that's where I think the bigger challenge is with business owners and leaders and managers right now. It's not just using the technology, but there are factors that make managing remote workers really effective, and there are a lot of really things that people can do that really can destroy morale and I mean, just as an example, I mean, in our leadership training for results program, we have a whole methodology and process for keeping people accountable to very specific metrics. Now, those leaders that have put those metrics into place so that they can tell you at any day if a person that's working for them is performing well or not, based on metrics, they're probably doing fine managing remote workers. But people that have postponed that, put it off, procrastinated, and putting those metrics in place, all of a sudden they're freaking out because they don't know if their employee is doing their job at home or not. Well, the reality is we as leaders should have those metrics in place, so that's never even a question. We know when they're doing their jobs well because we're looking at the metrics.
Yeah, great point. And Ryan, my day job, I'm in the trucking industry, moved to North Texas in 97, been in it for 25 years. And, we're essential to the supply chain. It's kind of cool to see refrigerated trailers come in that need to be repaired and moving on to deliver groceries or pharmaceuticals, and to talk to truck drivers that are delivering everything that's so important right now. And I'm also, as you can see, do some stuff in baseball. So everything, they're shut down and they're worried about, hey, will we continue with our season? There's high school players that are still got that glimmer of hope that they can play again, maybe in May. But then there's a lot of worry and fear, especially from, senior mamas and senior parents and educators on, hey, what's a school going to look like? So it's impacting everybody. What are you seeing from some of the business owners you deal with? Maybe we'll start with Ryan, then back to Jeff.
So as far as just how they're handling the changes and uncertainty?
Yes.
Well, like Jeff mentioned earlier, those business managers, leaders, owners, CEOs that are Dale Carnegie course graduates have a huge advantage over, and I'm not doing a sales pitch, it's just a fact. I mean, part of our curriculum in the Dale Carnegie course is how to manage stress under a high amount of pressure. And that's what we're all experiencing right now. And the reality is, if we're not managing our stress, it impacts our ability to connect with people on a personal level and communicate effectively. Just as an example, I mean, you start a sales meeting right now and, diving into how much people sold or how many calls people made or, how much prospecting has been done, without first checking on how your people are doing emotionally. I mean, you're just talking, you're as leaders, I'm not saying you or anyone in specific, but we as leaders, we're really not syncing up with where our employees are. And we first need to find out, okay, where are we at right now? Because it could change day by day. Someone's family member could have gotten sick in the last 24 hours, and there's a whole nother set of stresses. And so we need to find out where people are before we jump into our initiatives and plans, because otherwise it just makes us look insensitive. And if we look insensitive, like we're not caring about the people that work for us, people engage. And especially, and we talked about remote workers, it's really easy for people to disengage right now. I mean, they have Netflix right in front of them all the time, and they can just watch shows all day because they think, well, you know, my boss obviously doesn't care about my situation anyway. And so, you know, we really, you know, that's what I'm seeing with business owners is that have the ability to really stop and listen to their employees are maintaining a workforce that is fully engaged and that'll be more resilient when we come out of this. And those that are kind of showing maybe some darker true colors, like all they care about is the numbers and the profits, you know, when the job market picks up, their employees might not want to stay around anymore.
Yeah, things are definitely going to change. Jeff, what are you hearing? Anything uniquely different? I know you busy on the social channels and talking to clients as well.
Part of it is to echo what Ryan is saying is that ability to connect is absolutely critical. In addition, as people are remote, we've got to be able to put ourselves over a video. I mean, I'm looking at a little green dot on my computer and trying to project myself through that, which means, you know, people have to be more animated. I mean, now we're not in person. We're on a screen that's, if we're lucky, it's the size of a computer. Most of the time we're on a screen about this big. And so if we don't have some energy, some animation, then it's hard to get people to connect with us. And it's exacerbated by all of the stress and all the hysteria that's coming out. And so we've got all these people that are screaming at us. And as a leader, we have to be able to connect with people. We have to get them focused on the good things that are happening, what needs to be done. Because to Ryan's point, not only is Netflix available, and if they feel the boss doesn't care, then they're going to go there. Also, Netflix is available, and if they feel stressed just because someone's not paying attention or not helping them deal with it, they'll go there. It's almost like comfort food.
Jeff, great point. I'll bring Ryan back up here. You know, a couple of the things we want to talk about is like we talked at the beginning of the show, you know, all the stress, worry, fear, anxiety that's going on. Yeah, the news is still behind me. I don't really watch it. I'm not listening to it. But we want to apply some of the principles, some takeaways that people, and we're going to send everyone a gift, actually electronic version of the Golden Book. So if you didn't sign up this on Eventbrite, just drop us a note in the comments and we'll get you one. But one thing that I've really applied as a graduate my entire life, and most of the time falls short, let's just be crystal clear, is living in day-tight compartments, you know, focusing on what's going on today in this 24-hour period. I can't change yesterday. I can't change what happened in January or December, and I can't really change what's going to happen on Friday or Saturday. But it's so easy to look back and point fingers or start worrying about the future and not really focus on today. And I know you guys are walking, living, breathing testaments of that principle. What are some of maybe some anecdotal stories you can share of clients you've worked with and businesses in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that really apply those principles and make their lives a whole lot better?
Well, I just had a webinar this morning with one of our clients in the automotive industry, and we all know what's happening there. I mean, car sales have come to a screeching halt, and we're going to see in the next 30 days what delinquencies look like on car loans, and it's probably going to be pretty ugly. And so they have a big mountain to climb right now to get out of this, and their business probably won't look the same afterwards as it did before. But what I heard people saying in this particular group in the automotive industry is one of Dale Carnegie's principles, count your blessings. A lot of people are turning to gratitude to get themselves through this. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if I'm a person that's healthy, my kids are healthy, my parents who are older are healthy, I really don't have much to complain about, right? I mean, let's face it, like, I mean, in the history of the United States, you know, fortunes are made and lost, And at the end of the day, at the end of life, we look back, and what matters most is those people that we care about and that we want to connect with. And so I think count your blessings is one of the ones that I'm hearing a lot, and people are actually demonstrating that through gratitude journaling, and also just expressing appreciation to others, which is another Dale Carnegie principle as well.
Jeff, you want to weave in on that? I know it's real easy to Monday morning quarterback. We'll use a sports analogy, figure out what we could have done different to make the outcome of the game better, but we can't change it. So, that's, I think, one of the strongest principles I've always taken from Dale Carnegie is forget the past, right? It's hard to do. It's easy to bring it up. Family reunions, it's easy to say, remember what happened 10 years ago, and forget about it, right? What say you, Jeff?
Well, and that is very true. It is sometimes hard to realize that we did the best we could do at the time. And that is, I'm like you. One of the principles that's had the biggest impact for me is living in day-tight compartments. And we've all heard the expression "live one day at a time." In fact, I'd heard it so much it almost had kind of lost its impact. And since I spent some time in the Navy, the analogy is thinking of a watertight compartment. One of the jobs I had in the Navy, I was a damage control assistant, which meant I was responsible for all of the things that are designed to minimize damage in a ship, whether it's the watertight fittings, fire extinguishers, all that stuff. I was responsible for maintaining that. And the reason we have watertight compartments is so that we can prevent the spread of damage. We can stop what we call progressive flooding. We close that door and the water stops. And it's the same thing with time or our emotions or frustrations or regret. When we can learn from the past, but we can't live there anymore. It's done. It is set in concrete. And tomorrow is a vision. It is not here yet. The only thing we have control over is this particular instant in time. And it's up to us to do the best with it that we can. And that's really what this one principle is about. It's about living fully in the present, planning for the future, learning from the past, and then applying that stuff right now. And we do that. And actually the dreams that then are yesterdays become dreams of happiness, and our futures become visions of hope.
Jeff, that's some good stuff right there. I know I still got people text me and said, hey, yeah, I'm on there. So it's good. Our whole goal today is if we just impact one person, one student, one parent, one business leader that's struggling right now, hey, mission accomplished. And we may never know that, unless they send us a note a year later or 2 years later that, hey, I hopped on that webcast you did, and what Jeff or what Ryan said, or when John was swinging that baseball bat, I could relate to it. And hey, one thing I'm seeing a lot, guys, is you talked about it on the pre-show, getting out and getting healthy, is a lot of people are starting to reset their January New Year's resolution. Obviously they're eating at home, not ordering out near as much. You talked about the restaurant business being impacted. I know personally, we're being healthier at home. We're getting out walking. I know my wife is walking once, sometimes twice a day now. Getting out, we're seeing people get out and like pre-internet era, get out and actually sort of talk to their neighbors from a distance, right? And eating healthier. And Carnegie talks about the exorbitant price we pay when our health is not good, when we have other things. And now, more importantly now, with COVID-19, being healthy is top of the mind. So what can you say, Ryan, about, how health impacts stress and worry?
You mean the opposite, right? How stress impacts health?
Yeah. Or being in bad health can, it kind of goes hand in hand. Meaning bad health can impact stress as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Dale Carnegie talks about that. Like you mentioned the principle and just seeing, like, recognizing how much stress affects our health, and it affects different people in different ways. I personally am a stress eater. So I'm stressed, I overeat, and I could gain 20 pounds in a month if I'm having a stressful period in my life. And my fiance is the opposite. She's a stress starver. So when she's stressed, she doesn't eat, which is probably healthier than overeating. But I think what it does is it creates a pattern of unhealthiness. So it might be the food we choose, or a lot of times it just freezes us, paralyzes us. And so we can't do anything. And so I know that, and I'm not sure on the science. I just know intuitively that stress, and there's been studies that have been done, I'm not familiar with them specifically, but the impact that stress has on us, I've read that it's long-term stress can cause cancer. And so there's so many bad things that can come from stress. And one of the things I wanted to comment on, Jeff was talking about day tight compartments, and you're right. It means, not worrying about the past and not worrying about the future, even though we're planning for it. A lot of us don't feel like we can plan for the future right now. And so that's where another principle from Dale Carnegie comes in. He says, cooperate with the inevitable, which means really stop resisting what's happening. And that resistance that we have can really impact our stress levels. If we're trying to fight the fact that we're in this situation, or our country's in this situation, the economy's in this situation, we don't have any control over it. So giving up on trying to control outcomes is such a great way of relieving stress right now. And yeah, if we don't, it's going to impact us physically for sure.
Ryan, in preparing for this, I reread How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And one of the, I forgot this story in there, but a lot of folks might have a Carrier air conditioning unit. You've heard of the brand Carrier. William S. Carrier, and spending some time with Dale Carnegie back, I think, in the 40s, maybe even the 30s, kind of came up with this analysis. He was trying to figure out a better way to treat a gas plant or clean the gas in a gas plant. And it was really, he was struggling with it. And he kind of analyzed it this way. And I think I've got this correct here. He said, prepare to accept the worst, then try to improve on the worst, and also analyze what's the worst thing that can happen. All three of those things, and then really compartmentalize it. And sometimes what you think might be a bad situation or something that you can't overcome, you can work through it and take a step back. What are your thoughts there, Jeff?
Well, John, ironically, I've been my personal challenge for me is to put out a Facebook post and a LinkedIn post, one post a day on one of Dale Carnegie's principles from how to stop worrying and start living. And today I did that one.
Wow.
And so there's a short video on my Facebook page about Willis H. Carrier's process. And what he said is, determine what is the worst that could possibly happen, and then prepare to accept it, and then work to improve on it. And as I was thinking about this, it seems to me the real key is that middle piece, prepare to accept it. He doesn't say accept it. What he says is prepare to accept it. So think through, what is the worst that could possibly happen? And it could be we lose our business. Will that suck? Yes. Will that be terrible? Yes. Okay. I mean, the worst case, it could be worse that maybe our family member gets sick or we lose a loved one. Would that be worse? Yeah. I mean, so what is the worst that could possibly happen? Now, prepare to accept it. Okay. If that happens, can I get through it?
Yeah, I
won't like it, but I can. And now, once that happens, it gives us the freedom to begin thinking, how can I improve upon it? How can I make it better? And so, as we're to Ryan's point, as we're in this situation, yes, we're not exactly sure how to plan it. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Is it going to end in 30 days at the end of April? I hope so. If it doesn't, okay, what then? But yeah, what's the worst that can happen? So now,
chime in there.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like one of the things we tell Dale Carnegie participants when they're taking the Dale Carnegie course, and we're walking them through these stress management principles, is they're not all useful in all situations. And so we often refer to them as tools in your toolbox or in your tool belt that you can grab. Maybe some work better for you than others. And depending on situations, some work in different situations. And so, like when I think what's the worst that can happen is like, well, we all die. And so that particular principle isn't one that I would personally grab onto. But
have a little humor, right? It's good to have some humor.
People watching right now that say, well, we're all going to die. Like that's the worst that can happen. And that's probably, so don't use that principle if that's how you think. But there are other, there's 30 principles that we train in this course. And, obviously you can read the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. But as we all know, if you read a book, it doesn't mean you're going to actually put it.
That's true. Well, it's like one of the other ones is use the law of averages to outlaw your worries. And the way Dale Carnegie phrases it is, if it hasn't happened in the last 5,000 times, the chances are it's not going to happen this time. Most people, or a lot of people, they don't use it that way. They use it and think, it hasn't happened in 5,000 times, so I'm due. And to Ryan's point, use the ones that work. The great thing is he gave us 30, and none of these are hidden secrets. A lot of this is common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is not always common practice.
Yes.
And that's the real key, is to become familiar with them, so that, as Ryan says, we pull the tool out that works for us, that is most appropriate to the situation. And that's how we more effectively manage stress and worry, and how we can develop a level of resilience to come back from this, because everybody's looking for us to come back from it.
Yeah.
One thing
our family and our friends and our businesses are.
Yeah, and one of the strategies that Dale Carnegie talks about is staying busy. I mentioned I work in trucking, so I'm going into the Dallas office there at Peak Trailer Group once or twice a week right now. And but staying busy, I'm creating some content. Not many people are walking in, and we're definitely not going out to see them due to COVID-19. So I'm working on creating content like we are today. I'm working on doing some video work for the trucking industry, and doing some things, on the weekends related to sports, because hopefully all this will come back, like you said earlier, with a vengeance and with the spring. So for me, staying busy is a good thing. My wife doesn't always agree with that, but it's been good. And I know that's something you guys have been doing as well. You're still working, you're reaching out to clients. And, I feel for those folks that are in the restaurant business, or actually don't have a place to go to work, or don't have anything to do right now. That's when stress, worry, fear, uncertainty, doubt, and pessimism, all that can creep in. And what can you say to that person that's really idle right now?
My advice is it's all about connecting. And so, as we connect with others, just as an example, I've been on, I think, 6 different virtual happy hours in the last week, where someone sends a Zoom link out to a bunch of friends, and we all get together and have a drink at the end of the day and talk about what's going on in our lives. Last Saturday night, I had our family, use the app called House Party, and put it up on our screen of our computer, and had virtual dinner with another family friend. And we ended up playing Pictionary, because that app has games you can play with. So we played Pictionary. Last night I spent an hour on with my sister in Kansas City and my parents in Los Angeles. And so making those connections is, for me, it's critical. And if you don't have a lot of things to actually do with your time right now, I talked to one friend of mine in East Texas, Brian Brandt, who's an amazing trainer. He's the author of a book that he recently put out called Blind Spots: What You Don't Know Will Hurt You or Can Hurt You. But Brian was saying how he has a list of projects that he's had on his list for a long time. And the one thing he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want this thing to be over and look back and see that same list on there. So whether it's a written list or a mental list, we all have things that we want to accomplish personally. That's what we need to stay busy with. It doesn't have to be, all business. And, I'm obviously spending a lot of my time doing things like this, trying to help the community, but also trying to get access to that federal funding that just came through. So that's taking a lot of time as well. And so, but once that's funded, other than these things, I have other personal projects that I'm going to pursue. I mean, I like Dallas Comedy House is a shop in Dallas that I love. And I took a stand-up comedy class there last year.
You actually performed some stand-up, right?
Sorry?
You performed some stand-up, right?
I performed a 3-minute set, and another 7-week course for stand-up comedy 2 started this Sunday, and they've shifted it to Zoom video.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be able to still do the class. So that's like a fun project for me. It's something that breaks up the week. It's something that kind of feeds my heart,
And Jeff, I want to ask you, Jeff, you're 11 years in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Were there some situations where, in front of your leadership position, in front of the men and women you were leading up to 1900, were there times you had to put on a strong face, but behind the scenes, you were worried as a leader and had to deal with that yourself?
Well, I know that there were times when I was Well, yeah, when I was a little bit stressed or worried when we were, I remember being in the Mediterranean and we had to go into battle stations at 2:30 in the morning. And fortunately, we had done a lot of training so that we were ready for this. And sometimes it's relying on training. A lot of it is about being intentional in what we do. And that was, I was listening to Ryan talk. What really struck me is whether as we are connecting with folks, as we are getting through our list of stuff, as we are preparing, a big chunk of this is about intent, is choosing it. And the great thing about now is that so much of the clutter has been swept away. The challenge is we're used to it and we're thinking, I don't know what to do. But by having the clutter, it's a great opportunity to gain clarity, to reconnect with our immediate family. And as Ryan talked about, to connect with family at a distance, to connect with friends. But it really requires us to be intentional, which is ironically one of the great things that comes out of our Dale Carnegie programs is if we're going to be changing habit, it requires us to be intentional, whether it's changing habits and how we connect face-to-face or how we connect like this virtually.
Ryan, and preparing for this, I also read that during World War II, 1 out of 6 men that were drafted failed the draft because of psychiatric issues. 1 out of 6. And that dealt with maybe some of the mental issues, stress, worry. I've known you for several years and you're always positive. Even on this segment today, you're laughing. You're going to take a comedy class. And how do you, not only as an individual, but as a business owner and leader, put a positive spin and have a good, healthy mental attitude, mental outlook towards virtually everything you do?
Well, at first I thought you were going to say something about me being in that category, but
well, Jeff sent me a chat. Yeah, that's right.
That was going on behind the scenes.
But I mean, honestly, like, no joke. I mean, mental illness is one of the failings of treating mental illness and recognizing one of the failings of our society. It has been for many years. And so there are a lot of people right now that were already struggling with things like depression and going through a process like this. And I have friends that are going through this right now, and it's sucking them into it further. And that's why I think the important thing is finding ways to help others. And like I'm doing right now, this is how I'm staying positive. I'm finding ways to help others. I'm finding clients. I'm talking to the CEOs of all our clients. I'm saying, what are you going through right now? Are there ways that I can help you right now? And, I'll make some specific suggestions. I'm willing to help however I can. We're not getting paid right now. It is what it is. I mean, it's just, that's the nature of the economy right now. People are holding on to their budgets unless they have a very specific need. But I want to be there for people, and that makes me feel positive. That makes me feel good.
It's been a couple months since the three of us connected, and it's been good for us because, a little bit of, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, preparation. We've hopped on these and tested technology. It's been good to reconnect with you two gentlemen as well. So, Jeff, how about you?
Well, I'm kind of like Ryan is. I'm thinking about what can I add? What value can I add? It is, as you talked about earlier, John, keeping busy, making sure that I'm filling my plate with not just busy work, but I am keeping busy doing work that I believe will add value. And part of this is just, it's interesting to watch this throughout the country. I think that how many folks have shifted their focus from all the things that are wrong and started to focus on all the things that are good. I was watching John, is it Krasinski on from The Office, where he's got something it's called Some Good News. And so he spends 15 or 20 minutes every day broadcasting good news. And Lord knows we need more of that.
Well, I bet his ratings aren't very good, though. No, unfortunately.
Probably not.
But I want you to send that link, or we'll post it.
I know it's on Facebook. I don't know.
I want to watch it.
John, I also think that this is an opportunity for business owners and leaders to use the Dale Carnegie principle, profit from our losses. And I see and talk to clients that are doing this. I'll just give you an example, and it's a little bit of a shout out. One of our high impact presentations graduates, Kyle Gordon, who founded Dilla's Quesadillas, and they have 4 stores, and we all know what's happening to the food industry. They're getting decimated. He's had to lay off a lot of people or put them on furlough in anticipation of a recovery. But he's shifted all of his business, obviously, to takeout and drive through. And by the way, if you have a chance to try Dilla's Quesadillas, phenomenal.
They are awesome.
Stuffed with fries and brisket and bacon and all.
Are they still doing carry out or curbside pickup?
They are. Yeah, my family, we just picked up food from them the other day, and it's a different kind of quesadilla experience that you've ever had. But Kyle, I talk to him frequently. He's a close friend of mine, and he's looking at, okay, so based on what I'm seeing and the data I'm seeing right now, how does that impact my vision of how my business should run in the future? So what an opportunity to test the strength of our business model then through something like this. And thankfully, he's doing very well, partially because he's an expert at running a restaurant, but also because they have great food and service, and it's a fun concept. But he's looking at his operations and saying, okay, so when I come out of this, how am I going to operate differently? And how do I want to expand? And so this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Dale Carnegie as well. Like Jeff said earlier in the call, I mean, we're used to doing mostly in-person training. And now we've really ramped up based on client demand, our live online platform that we deliver through WebEx. And it's challenged us to say, okay, so in the future, are we going to go back to the way it was? Probably never. Now we're probably going to look at more blended kind of training environments where people do some sessions online and some in person. And this is an opportunity. And coming from a commercial real estate background, where I really feel for, I posted on LinkedIn, I feel for all of my friends that are still in commercial real estate that own properties, because their delinquencies this month are going to be off the charts. But also those people that have some dry powder, as they call it, some cash available, they're going to have some of the biggest opportunities of our generation.
Opportunities, yeah.
Oh my gosh, buying notes at a discount, buying distressed properties. I mean, there are always opportunities hidden in a crisis. And so that's another way that I stay positive. I'm constantly brainstorming with friends on how do we make money on this situation? Like, how do we turn these lemons into lemonade, as Dale Carnegie?
Yeah. I've talked to several business owners. Matter of fact, when this first happened, you can see that coffee mug up there. Some friends of mine own Six Stitch Apparel, small family-owned business here in Argyle, Texas. They were producing all the merchandise, hats, shirts, hoodies, all that stuff for about 5 to 9 different concert tours. Mercy Me, one of the biggest Christian groups going, that all came to a stop in 1 week. Their business pretty much shut down. They had to lay off 15 employees, and I had them in here before, we were 6 feet apart, but, for them to talk about how it impacted their lives, their friendships with their employees, and they hope to get back on their feet, but they're having to get creative and do some different things. And man, they're resilient people. To see them, I was away from the desk area, but just to see the resiliency and hear them, and through social media, people reaching out and everybody's saying, hey, buy local and do those types of things. So it's now more than ever where the community really responds and helps one another, and that's one reason we're doing this. There might be people that connect with us today that have some ideas, that need some help, or that can help us, right? So good stuff, guys. Hey, we got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. We're going to keep everybody on time. We appreciate everybody taking your lunch hour and joining us. If you're in the Central Time Zone, if you're out west, maybe it's your brunch time zone, I guess. Ryan, did you have anybody join from the West Coast that you know of?
I don't know.
Gotcha.
No.
Hey, a couple of things that's near and dear to me, and before we even decided to do this, I posted on some of my social media about criticism. The 3 C's are very big in John Piper's playbook. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And I put something out on Facebook before we decided to do any of this stuff. Hey, give it a whole week, because it's easy to sit back, and I call it a keyboard kamikaze. Sit back and criticize everything that's going on here, everything that's going on maybe in a business, the changes, and just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you take anything from here, remember the 3 C's, and it's, you see people get critical and point fingers, and are y'all seeing much of that yet, or what are y'all seeing from clients and people that you're interacting with? Start with you, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it's really actually quite remarkable how this situation, which it's not like the last financial crisis where there was a lot of blame and pointing fingers around. This is very different because this is a health issue and it's largely perceived to be out of our control. Although we, like I said, we do have control over how we handle it and stay safe. I've seen people come together, and I've seen, I've talked to clients, and I'm not seeing a lot of finger pointing or anything. I'm seeing more like, let's join hands and get through this together. It's created a lot of camaraderie among people that it's quite inspiring.
Good stuff. And Jeff, I know you're a walking, talking Dale Carnegie person. I know the 3 C's are near and dear to you as well.
They are. In fact, kind of to echo Ryan's point, one of the good things about being in this environment is we tend to be around really positive people on a regular basis, and they take these principles to heart. When it comes to the 3 C's, and when we say that, it's Dale Carnegie's very first principle is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And often where that comes in with stress and worry is we struggle with applying that principle to ourselves. We beat ourselves up for the areas where we fall short, where we didn't think we did well enough, where we could have done better. Welcome to the human race. We all have that. This is a great opportunity to learn to give yourself a little bit of grace. Know that we are all doing the best that we can, and it's okay to ask for help. The great thing is there's a lot of folks out there that are willing to offer that. And that's one of the things I think is so exciting with the folks that we have a chance to work with, and what we have seen in this nation, that people are supporting each other. They aren't blaming other folks for their misfortunes. They frustrated? Sure. Are they blaming other people? Are they criticizing? No, that's not what I'm seeing.
I mean, you could also, you could look at the major news channels, and there's a lot of political criticism on both, but we just have to recognize that's politics, and that's not something we should absorb into our hearts as our own. I mean, we should really focus on what we're grateful for, and the fact that we live in such an amazing country, the United States, that has been through huge crises, and we always, talk about resilience, we always come out of it stronger. And so just having faith in the American people and the American system, I think, that's why, Warren Buffett always talks about that, how, you can really have faith in the resilience of the American economy.
Hey guys, a couple things I want to share with the audience, and then we'll wrap up. But a couple things preventing fatigue and worry. Rest before you get tired. Learn to relax at work. Protect your health and appearance by relaxing at home. I know a lot of people are starting to meditate and do some things. Healthy eating, more water. Put enthusiasm into your work. Jeff, if you act enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. I know you had to come off mute there to say that. Don't worry about insomnia. I called you this morning. I think I had 4 hours sleep. I feel really good today for some reason, because I guess I'm excited about what we're doing and what we can achieve together. Apply 4 good working habits at work. Clear your desk of all the unnecessary paperwork and on and on. Those are some tips just right out of How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And with that, I know you guys maybe have a couple parting thoughts, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. One of Dale Carnegie's principles that it sounds like one of those kind of rainbows and unicorns, but it really is. Our stress is controlled a lot by what we focus on. And his recommendation is to fill our minds with thoughts of peace, love, health, and hope. Understanding that, yes, we do live in an amazing country, that we are surrounded by amazing people. We have a whole country that was made by people who gave up, many of whose ancestors gave up everything to come here and start over. Okay, we have a chance to start building on what they have already built. And when we come together, I don't think there's anything that we can't accomplish together.
Wow, that's some good stuff there, Jeff. Kind of a hard act to follow, Ryan, but I know you've got a lot of wisdom.
I'm going to follow that. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Always.
Thanks for letting me go first.
The one thing I'd say is, if you're watching this and you're saying, how do I pick up some of these skills? I mean, it takes a lot of time, it takes effort, and it takes some coaching, but they're available to you. So if you're one of those people that looks and says, gosh, I wish I could think like that, or I wish I had these tools they're talking about, just go to our website, dalecarnegie.com. We have a lot of free resources, and we have some online programs right now. If you're managing workers remotely right now for the first time, we have an online course on that. If you're trying to keep people engaged in meetings, we have a course on that. If you're dealing with stress, we have some online workshops on that. So use this as a resource. We're just happy that we're in a position right now where we have a lot of knowledge that can help people get through a time like this. So we're really excited for the way we can help our clients and individuals get through this time. So you let us know how we can help you.
And I'm going to bring up on the screen here as we wrap up, we're not here to sell books, but, many of us, the three of us, have definitely benefited from this book and How to Win Friends and Influence People. But a couple little parting shots as well from How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. We talked earlier, live in day-tight compartments, focus on today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. The Carrier, William Carrier said, hey, ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can possibly happen? Prepare to accept the worst. Try to improve on the worst. Then remind yourself the exorbitant price you can pay for worry in terms of your health. So we do want to thank everybody for joining us. Let me bring the gentleman back on. Guys, this has been really good. And we gave folks back about 7 minutes of their day. We finished a tad bit early. And I know what's neat about this is when people watch the replay and they catch it, maybe a share from a friend later tonight, we'll get some more questions and some things that'll roll in throughout the week. So we're going to keep this chat dynamic, and we'll be able to respond to it and answer questions, throughout the week, throughout the month, because April looks like it's going to be another tough month for everybody all over the country. And we're here to help serve you. So, guys, anything else you want to add?
Hey, John, I just want to thank you for organizing this. It was John that approached us and said, hey, let's do something to help people out there. And thanks for putting together the platform and the agenda. And we appreciate your friendship, and we appreciate your heart.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys. And I do want to thank everybody attending today, especially Ryan, Akins, and Jeff Cockrell from Dale Carnegie Training. And again, we're going to send everybody that participated today or registered a golden book as a gift from Dale Carnegie Training. I do want to thank JP Jones again from Page One Media for her support. And we'll probably wrap up with giving her another shout out here. See if I can put that up there and maybe play her deal. But guys, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Brochures and banners, locally owned Page One Media is your source for award-winning print design products. With over 12 years in the industry and thousands of print projects behind them, capture your brand and showcase your company for potential customers. There's no project too large or too small. For quotes or to begin a project, contact us at pageonemedia.com, PAIGE, 1, media.com, or contact 931-300-2289 and leave a message for a callback. Mention you heard this ad for 25% off your first design project.
Thank you, JP. She's done a lot of work for me over the years, and really worked tirelessly to help us put this together as well. So again, it takes the whole community, small business owners coming together. So again, thank you for tuning in. Share this out, and maybe we'll do some more of these lunch and learns in the month of April. Have a great day. All right, guys, bear with me.